The Buddha explains.
The 9 views of change. Change of shape, characteristic, cause, connection, view, existence, perceptible condition, perceptible function, and origin, are held by followers of other paths. They view change as something being not as it was, but also not being different, like gold being shaped into an ornament. Though something appears to arise or cease, there's nothing there, just like a magic trick or dream.
Mahamati declares that he and the other bodhisattvas, through being adept at distinguishing the characteristics of continuity and non-continuity, would be better able to overcome attachment to continuities and transcend erroneous projections. The Buddha explains.
Attachments to continuities based on how their meaning is expressed in words are limitless, such as attachment to continuity of characteristics, conditions, existence and non-existence, and so forth, up to aspects of the Dharma and the One Vehicle. Beings, like silkworms making cocoons, using the thread of projection, envelop themselves and others in attachments to characteristics of continuities of existence and non-existence. Due to the non-arising of projections, bodhisattvas see everything as still. External entities do not exist. Their characteristics are perceptions of your own mind. Seeing this, all continuities become still. Although others think bondage and emancipation exist, there's nothing to be bound or emancipated from. As among what exists and does not exist, no beings are found. The ignorant have 3 continuities: greed, anger, and delusion, with desire for future happiness. These, together with continuity of existence, link to the 5 realms. But if continuities are ended, there are no characteristics of continuity or non-continuity, and one witnesses the threefold liberation through emptiness, signlessness, and wishlessness.
Mahamati wonders whether, since projections have no existence, the afflictions and their purification taught by the Buddha also do not exist. The Buddha replies.
That is so, but that which is known by noble insight and vision of the eye of noble wisdom exist.
Mahamati asks, how can beings know this, since they are neither aware of a higher reality nor see that which transcends characteristics of existence and non-existence? Also, how did the wise see self-existence as being an imagined reality if they cannot know the characteristics of self-existence, since they are imagined? How would that be discriminating suchness and not just another projection? Also, since various projections and the various characteristics of self-existence are different, how do we know what is unreal if we are not imagining anything? Why are beings taught to abandon views of existence and non-existence if they become attached to Buddha knowledge? Finally, why do you teach both detachment and the existence of Buddha knowledge? The Buddha explains.
I neither teach the non-existence of detachment nor that Buddha knowledge exists. Rather, to those attached to existence, detachment is taught. Regardless, I does not teach characteristics of self-existence. Rather, I teach about transcending delusion, projecting views of existence or non-existence, obtaining the threefold liberation, suchness, examining self, existence based on personal realization, and transcending existence and non-existence of the real. Bodhisattvas should not maintain that whatever exists does not arise because propositions require reasons, and if a reason cannot be characterized as arising, then a proposition would not exist. The proposition is thus contradictory. The proposition existence and non-existence do not arise would be a thing that exists, but its characteristics would not, since they could not arise. Thus, do not maintain propositions in the form of syllogisms, as they produce errors and are fabrications. Rather, a bodhisattva maintains that whatever exists is like a dream and a mistake of perception, unless it would make people turn away in fear from the Mahayana.
Mahamati asks that since the Buddha claims knowledge cannot arise from the world, only the names are projections, how is it that knowledge is not obtained, for example, due to physical obstruction, or not seeing characteristics? If it is because we don't perceive what exists, then it is simply absence of knowledge. The Buddha claims.
Absence of knowledge is knowledge. In seeing that that which exists is nothing but mind only, we know without perceiving. Knowledge is not obtained even among the 3 liberations. Not knowing this, beings give rise to projections of knowledge in something knowable. Viewing absence of knowledge as no knowledge is nihilism. Beings confused by their habit energy cannot distinguish characteristics of a way of personal attainment that does not include the 4 possibilities. To get out of this, the Tathagatas of the 3 times teach. First, the way of instruction, teaching the different texts and sutras appropriate for beings. Second, the way of personal attainment, for practitioners who free themselves from different projections, avoiding dualities and conceptuality, and the view of what brings about Buddha knowledge, which the other vehicles cannot know.
Mahamadi asks why the Buddha said not to associate with those of materialist eloquence, for one will then embrace desires of the flesh. The Buddha replies,
materialists employ eloquence to attract and deceive people into thinking their perceptions are real, and not seeing disadvantages of existence, which is nothing but mind only. They do not get free of attachments, and thus do not escape suffering. Once Shakra wrote a treatise on speech and a Naga challenged him. Having defeated Shakra, the Naga destroyed his chariot. If even Nagas have such eloquence, how much more so do humans? So avoid materialists. Materialists only speak about the realm of sensory awareness, and in the final hundreds of years of the Dharma their arguments will create schisms in the doctrines of other paths, but they won't realize their own foolishness. I do not include materialist arguments in my teachings to humans and gods, only what does not come and does not go. My teaching cannot be counted among fabrications of the materialists, but I point to seeing our perceptions as projections of our own mind and thereby how we can attain liberation. For example, I refuse the various kinds of materialism in the face of the questioning of a Brahmin. I taught instead that the three realms arise from the habit energy of beginningless fabrications and projections, and that the only causation is a fabrication of projecting the existence of subject and object. Likewise, ignorance, desire, and karma are not the cause of the three realms. Such is also materialism, and anything involving the movement of the mind involving projection of an external object is materialism. That which is not materialism is the teaching of the permanent cessation of projection. If any continuity or cause is involved, that is materialism. The Brahmin then left thinking the I was incomprehensible. This is why one should not associate with materialists who embrace desires of the flesh and not Dharma. In comparing desires of the flesh to desires of the Dharma, firstly, desires of the flesh are those involving clutching, letting go, touching, tasting, attachments to sensation, addiction to dualism, rebirth, and samsara. These arise from desire and associating with materialists. Embracing the Dharma means understanding what are nothing but perceptions of the mind, seeing no self of beings and dharmas, not projecting, being versed in the stages, transcending the mind, will, and consciousness, being anointed by the Buddhas, embracing and fulfilling the Bodhisattva vows, and gaining effortless mastery of all teachings, neither seeing anything arise, persist, or cease. The Dharma goes beyond views of permanence, impermanence, effect or no effect, this world or another world. While followers of other paths view neither as the cessation or destruction of something, as going somewhere, as knowing something, as a supreme power responsible for birth and death, as finding what leads to truth, as what nature gives rise to, as various philosophical qualities, or seeing differences. All of these are fantasies rejected by the wise, as they suffer from duality, don't arise from wisdom, and don't result in nirvana. Nirvana means fully understanding all as a perception of one's own mind, transcending the four possibilities, attaining personal realization of Buddha knowledge and ascending the stages to the samadhi of the illusory, transcending mind, will, and consciousness. All sutras speak of projection but don't get free of words, as apart from words there's nothing of which to speak. Awakened ones are neither a result nor a cause, for then they would be impermanent. Not being a result, they have no cause and thus, like a rabbit's horns, neither exist nor do not exist. Neither existing nor not existing, they are not subject to the four possibilities. Just as phenomena neither exist nor do not exist, similarly Tathagatas are neither the same nor different from the aggregates, sense spheres, sense bases, or liberation. If they were not the same as liberation, there would be material and impermanent, but if they are not different, there would be no distinctions among practitioners. But since there are distinctions, they are neither different nor not different. Similarly, the knower and known are neither different nor not different. Thus, they are neither permanent, nor not. Similarly for cause and effect, created and not, perceiving and perceived, characterizing and not, skandhas or different from the skandhas, speaker and spoken. Thus, they are beyond all measure, inexpressible, non-arising, non-ceasing, completely still, and thus, never. Thus, they are neither result nor cause, with no objective support, beyond fabrications, and thus a Tathagata, which is completely awakening beyond the reach of the senses. It is not that Tathagatas are non-existent, that they neither arise nor cease, nor that neither arising nor ceasing is another name for the Tathagatas, but that nothing arises or ceases because the categories of existence and non-existence do not apply. As regards the name Tathagata, this does not exist, but nothing can be grasped in what neither arises nor ceases. Tathagata is the name for a projection body, similar with all the other names for the Tathagata. Just because he has different names does not mean there are multiple existences. Like the moon and water is neither in nor not in the water, beings cling to the name or concept of a Buddha, or to various texts and explanations. However, they take what neither arises nor ceases as something that does not exist, and don't realize it is another name for the Tathagata. Fools believe meaning is not separate from words. While words arise and cease, meaning does not. It transcends existence and non-existence and has no substance. The Dharma transcends language, so the awakened ones do not speak or respond with a single word. Words are the projections of beings, but without those words, the Dharma would end. Thus, awakened ones are not attached to words, but teach according to the needs of beings so they can get free from mind, will, and conceptual consciousness, become versed in the meanings of the stages and teachings, and become established in the Mahayana. Embracing the Mahayana means embracing the awakened ones, Dharma, the lineage, and knowing how to enter the Mahayana, establish others in it, master the 10 powers, and teach others according to their needs. However, one must not become attached to the finger of words. Focus one's effort on becoming skilled, and not on words, knowing what beings need, like feeding an infant cooked rice, not uncooked rice. The true meaning is the cause of nirvana. Those who are learned esteem meaning and not words. Those who seek meaning should seek those who are learned and stay away from those attached to words.
Mahamadi points out that what neither arises nor ceases is not unique, it is taught by other schools, and also applies to space, cessation, and nirvana. Just as other schools teach the world and external objects arise due to causes, similarly the Buddha teaches on the one hand that they arise due to causes and conditions, and on the other that they neither arise nor cease, as the elementary particles, atoms, have essential natures that also neither arise nor cease. Moreover, Mahamadi wonders how there can only be one Buddha in a world at one time, since, if Buddhas neither arise nor cease, there would be multiple Buddhas at once. The Buddha replies,
what neither arises nor ceases for other schools is applied to phenomena that are said to exist, but the Buddha's neither arising nor ceasing applies to that which neither exists nor does not exist. This is because just as a dream, form is seen, but has no self-existence and is just a projection of one's own mind. Seeing this, one attains peace and happiness and ceases worldly concerns. The ignorant believe people really enter or leave their conjured residence, like Gandharva cities in the skies, when they are merely projections. The wise do not give rise to confusion about that which neither arises nor ceases, is neither created nor not created. Those who do not see clearly never get free of projections. Seeing no form is better than seeing form, for therein no projections arise. Non-arising is taught to refute arising, but it doesn't apply to nothing. Just existence without a cause. Things don't arise by themselves because nothing appears to wisdom except combinations. Despite appearances, nothing exists in combinations. By seeing things as without cause or no cause, the doctrine of arising and cessation is undone. Non-arising doesn't mean non-existence, existence, or no meaning. It is beyond the understanding of other paths, beyond actions, and relies on nothing but mind. Non-arising also implies emptiness. When causes and conditions combine, something arises and ceases, but nothing besides causes and conditions, existence or non-existence, do not arise. However, mutual dependence becomes the chain of causation only according to convention. Causation is only spoken of when fools cannot understand. Apart from the chain of causation is the doctrine of no causation, which denies the meaning of the chain. Perception of the chain implies that apart from the chain something else exists, as a lamp illuminates forms. Take away the forms and the lamp exists. However, what does not arise does not exist. Like space, the wise find nothing to see. The patience regarding the non-arising of dharmas does not arise. Seeing all as a chain gives rise to samadhi. The interior chain is ignorance, desire, and karma. Exterior chains are things like seeds. Apart from causes, a chain has no meaning. Things arising that don't exist is causation. The four elements are projections, and their combinations are existence. Like a doctor adjusts the treatment according to the patient, but their path is curing. The utilization of different methods doesn't mean a different teaching. There is only one path taught, the Mahayana. Regarding impermanence, there are 7 kinds of impermanence according to other paths. First, abandonment of the created. This is impermanence as something apart from initial creation. No differences can be found among the characteristics of the elements making up the created, so impermanence would have to be something else. This would require the non-arising of dualities. Second, the destruction of shape. This is the Sankhya view where the 4 elements are not destroyed, but the shapes that they make are destroyed. Third, form. This is the Laṅkāvatāra view that impermanence exists in form and the elements, but this denies worldly convention. Fourth, imperceptible change destroying whatever is there. This is the idea that the appearance of form differs, but not form itself. For example, like gold being shaped into different shapes. That is, change is not perceived, just destruction of whatever was already there. Fifth, impermanence as something that exists. This is the idea where impermanence is something like a club or rock, which breaks things. Herein non-existence is thus the result of impermanence. But a cause cannot create an unrelated effect. If it could, there would be no difference between cause and effect, even though they were clearly different. Impermanence would be permanent and whatever is not impermanence causing would not exist, and thus cannot be caused to not exist by that which exists. Sixth, impermanence as something that exists and does not exist. This is the idea that the 4 elements have self-existence, but what they comprise are destroyed. Seventh, something that does not arise but is inherent in all phenomena. This is the idea that the existence of anything does not arise, including impermanence. These views of impermanence held by followers of other paths imagine that when fire destroys the elements, their characteristics are not destroyed, for if they were, they would cease to exist. My teaching is that what arises is neither permanent nor not permanent. This is because external existence cannot be determined and the 3 realms are mind only. Thus teaching the arising and ceasing of the characteristics of the 3 worlds is useless. Similarly, the 4 elements are projections of the duality of subjects and object. Understanding duality as a projection, one is free from views of external existence and non-existence, and one sees them as nothing but mind only. Projections arise when you think about doing something, not nothing. All dharmas are the result of the projection of words. All dharmas are neither permanent nor not permanent.